Wow, dude, are you gonna look before you go over? Doofus? He didn't even check. He was just going. What are you doing, man? Come on, man. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Driving While Josh. I'm your host, Josh. Recording live from our mobile Honda studios, sponsored by Civic. Following what looks like a mobile hot dog stand. I'm not quite sure what this guy is pulling behind his car. I'm just happy there's no juices flowing out of it, splashing on my hood and windshield. That would be unfortunate. I have had that happen. Dude was driving along and water was just splashing around, and you know it's nasty hot dog water. I'm over 6 feet, so a lot of things I don't fit in as well as other people. Airplanes are an example. They seem to keep thinking that people that sit, at least when you're flying coach, that your legs are should belong to somebody that's about 4'2". And never fly Spirit. Oh my gosh, I flew Spirit one time with my wife, and I don't know what they were thinking. It's like, how many people can we cram onto an airplane? It's an experiment. And the dude behind me, it was a nice Asian fellow. We had a wonderful conversation, but for half the flight, his knees were digging into my back because he didn't have any space. And he was just kind of, his knees were there. And I'm like, quit moving, dude. And so we ended up talking. And after I asked him to please remove your knees from my spine. But yet, I wasn't impressed with Spirit. Have yet to have a pleasant experience on Delta. Not really a fan of flying Delta. And let's see, what else? A lot of times I fly American because my father was a mega frequent flyer guy with American. And he got a whole bunch of miles, and we could use those miles to fly places. Of course, it had to be on an American flight, which was fine. Really haven't had any issues with American. Probably, I think the best airline I've been on, I loved Cathay Pacific. They did a wonderful job when we took a flight over to India one time. And then Emirates is good. That was a pleasant experience. Although the one flight that I was on Emirates with my soon-to-be fiance, as we were going over to do some ministry over in Africa, we were flying Emirates, and there was a stop in Dubai, which was interesting as well, because we had the layover in Dubai. It was an overnight layover, and I kid you not, the water, just the water from the toilet coming out of the pipes was, it was like a jacuzzi bath. Wow, dude, are you gonna look before you go over? Doofus? He didn't even check. He was just going. What are you doing, man? Come on, man. But yeah, so we have this overnight stay at this hotel in Dubai before our next leg to go into Africa. And man, that water was warm. Woo! No need for water heaters in Dubai. It was toasty. Toasty water coming out of that tap, sitting in that toilet. A lot of airlines do not create legroom for people that are over 5'5". Nightmarish at times, scrunching your legs up. And I think it's interesting how, I guess, the etiquette that people have has kind of gone out the window. It used to be, there was a degree of decorum, a degree of etiquette that you would have, a degree of courtesy towards your fellow passengers. That seems to have gone out the window in many cases, which is sad, because it used, back in the early days of flight, you used to get dressed up when you're traveling. It was an event. It was an occasion. There was professionalism. Now, it's like, sir, would you please put your shirt back on? This isn't a lounge. I remember one time we were flying to London, and we were on this big jet, and there was a row of us in this group that was headed over there. And in front of us were a couple ladies flying, and then a group of Americans who were not with us, not part of our group. And so the flight wasn't full, and I think a couple of them got up and went and sat somewhere else on the plane with people they knew. And this one little dude decided that he was going to lay out on the seats. Like, there are 3 or 4 of them. I'm going to say 3 because he was a short guy. And not only was he going to lay there, he was going to lay with his feet sticking up towards this lady that was, again, not with him. And he leaned all the chairs way back. So everybody in our row had to deal with this munchkin sticking his nasty, dirty feet, because he took his socks off. So he had his nasty, dirty feet facing this poor lady who was trying to, fly and get back to London. I think she was British. And then he's, leaving absolutely no room for the rest of us behind. He was being an obnoxious American. The horror stories you hear sometimes about loud Americans and whatnot. It was true with this guy. He was just being a horrible person, discourteous. So I got mad at one point because he was causing a lot of problems. And I said, hey, dude, first, you got your stinking feet pointed at this poor woman. Second, your chairs are all the way back. You're causing issues here. There's nobody in these seats. Put them forward, man. And he was like, oh, but I'm afraid that I'll roll off or fall on the ground or something. It was something really lame. And I think I said something to the fact like, you don't put these seats up. I'm going to roll you on the ground. And he fought a little bit, but eventually I think he compromised and he put them up. Not all the way up, but up, so that it wasn't a problem for the girls that were sitting behind him. And I was like, man, guys like that just give Americans internationally just a terrible reputation. Of course, nothing could be as bad as French people. I have yet to have, and my wife hates me for saying this, I have yet to have a pleasant experience with French tourists. And I don't say that to be mean. I'm sure there are some fine French people, but it's like what I'm sure a lot of people have experienced with Americans. I have not had not one, I'm not joking, and I've traveled a bit, not one pleasant experience with French tourists. In fact, one time we were in Israel, and we're at the morning buffet, the breakfast buffet for this little hotel. And there's a line, and there's a lot of people that got up at the same time, and they wanted to get in and get their breakfast. So our group is there. Now we're all Americans and quite large compared to the rest of the people around that area, which was interesting. And so this little group of French, they're older, these French couples, I want to say about 5 or 6 couples in this French tour group come up to get their breakfast, and they were, to each other, and this little dude just says, oh, Xavier, and he just starts going. And he's like cutting in front of all these huge Americans, and I don't tolerate that kind of thing, again, because I've had no positive experiences with French. Oh, come on, man. You can't do that. Wow. That guy made an illegal turn because he just is better than everybody else. So again, I've had no positive experience traveling internationally with French people. This was like the third time this kind of thing had happened. And a little dude, I could tell by body language. I couldn't tell what they were saying. I don't know French, but I could tell by body language what he's planning on doing. And, I kind of body blocked him and his group. And I told my, telling other people, hey, don't let these guys cut in front of you kind of thing. And we made an American line formation to prevent the French from cutting in line at breakfast. They were not happy with the obnoxious large Americans, but we're just like, dude, we were here first. We were in line. Respect the line. I don't know how you do things in France, but here in Israel, if you're an American, you respect the line. I have not had a good experience with French people internationally. Now, I have known people from France that are quite nice. So I'm not making a generalization that all French people are horrible, nor should you make a generalization that all Americans that travel are loud and obnoxious. That's not true. But there are a lot of loud, obnoxious Americans that travel. I will concede that fact. If you will concede that there are a lot of rude French people out there. But hey, I could be wrong. Could just be me, I could just have had 4 bad experiences. Well, maybe we'll chalk it up to just poor timing on my part as I travel the globe with my French compatriots. But it was funny to see this little French dude get mad. I'm sure he was cussing in French. I wouldn't know what those words were. But French is such a wonderful language. Sounds so beautiful. Even when you're frustrated or an annoying little guy that wants to cut in line at breakfast, you still sound cool. Suave. I guess it's just suave. Sorry, I tried to make it sound French. Hey, if you're watching this and you're from France or know people from France, it's just my experience. I'm not doing a broad brush here. I'm not saying all French are horrible. I'm not saying France is horrible. I've never been to France. I wouldn't mind going to France. My wife wants me to go. But one day, when the COVID restrictions are lifted and we're able to go someplace beyond driving range in your automobiles. And I keep seeing, what's interesting though, I keep seeing people, I just saw a lady with a full-blown mask on and gloves while she's in her car alone with the windows up. Now, there may be a reason for that. I mean, she may be driving someone else's car who was infected or tested positive for COVID. That may be the case. And she's trying to protect herself, and she's transporting that person's car somewhere. I understand that. That stuff happens. I actually had to do that very same thing the other day. I transported my father-in-law's car from the hospital where he drove himself to surgery, which I wish he hadn't have done that, And so we had to drive down, get his car, and bring it back up, because they don't let you drive home after you have surgery, even if it's outpatient. Don't do it, people. Set up an Uber, have a friend take you, loved one. Make sure that you're taken care of. Don't try to drive yourself home after surgery, no matter what. But I was driving his car home, and, I had to wear gloves and a mask the whole time, because, I don't know. He was in a hospital, who knows. But I understand. Maybe that lady was doing that. But I'm seeing a lot of people with masks while you're driving in your car alone with your windows up. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, if that virus is able to, if I breathe it out and it goes through the air system in my car, somehow exits the vehicle, gets into your car, goes through your air filtration system, comes out your vent, and you breathe it in and get COVID. If the coronavirus is that virulent, we would all have it and we would all be dead. If you're in your car alone, don't wear the mask. Come on. Breathe. Get some oxygen into that brain. People, they drive poorly as it is. Let's increase the oxygen flow, reduce the carbon dioxide intake so that you can make better decisions and frustrate me less. Please, do it for me. I beg you. Make the world a better place. Make me happy. All right, I am home. That concludes this episode of Driving While Josh. I hope you're all doing well. See you next time.